Well, happy holiday and happy Halloween, everybody. Halloween in a couple of days. The weather's supposed to be pretty good, I hope, for the kids. Welcome to the Dog Show. It's a Monday. Yes, it's I can't believe it's almost the end of the month and we're almost in November. Well, today's show, we're going to zip around and talk about some SU football, SU basketball, Alabama football. They got a big game coming up this weekend against LSU and a whole lot more. And also at the end of the show, we're going to take our commercial break early like we did last week because I have a commentary, a little editorial about SMI. And you heard it, honey, Local Law 3. Welcome. Pleasant good afternoon, everybody. It's a little chilly outside, but it's going to be okay. We're moving into November pretty quick. Before you know it, it'll be Thanksgiving, then old Santa Claus, and we're off and running. Welcome to Weber This Week on a Monday. Hope you're all having a nice day. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. A lot to talk about today, but before we get to Jimmy and some of the highlights that we're going to go back and forth on, then we're going to take our commercial break around 22 after probably, play our homage to our great sponsors of this show, and then I'll come back with an editorial about the SMI Local Law 3. But speaking of sponsors, I want to just pass on, Seneca Meadows does do a lot of good things and a lot of different programs out there, and I won't get a chance to do that at the end of the show. So just a reminder, coming up on November the 1st, which is this coming Thursday, Easy Thanksgiving Crafting. Why buy your Thanksgiving centerpiece when you can make these adorable corn husk pilgrims? It's easy with a little help from crafter extraordinaire Becky Odell. That's right, Becky. Location's going to be at Seneca Meadows Educational Center, 1977 State Route 414, Seneca Falls. Coming up this Thursday, November 1st, 6:30 to 7:30. It's $8 per person. It's an adult program. So please check that out. We hope that you go and have some fun. And there's one other thing I believe we need to promote, and that is, yes, it's coming up, upcycled bird feeder craft. Make your world a better place with great-looking bird feeders made from recycled materials. That's coming up this Saturday, November the 3rd, between 3 and 4 o'clock at the Seneca Meadows Educational Center, 1977 State Route 414, Seneca Falls. It's $3 per person or $10 per family. Please note, family, children under 12 will need parental assistance. A couple of events going on at SMI. All right, Jimmy, first off, let me give kudos and praise out to all the Red Sox lovers. And there was some merit of the theory of, Jim, when you win 108 games, sometimes it may be a fluke. Well, obviously it wasn't a fluke, because the Red Sox showed their superiority, Jim, and they won in 5 games, and so be it. I got to tip my cap. Never been a Red Sox fan, but I have a lot of friends at Del Lago and a lot of other people that follow him and that have loved him forever. And at Del Lago this morning, I worked an 8 to noon shift today, and there are a lot of people, Jimmy, with the big B and the Boston Red hat.
I don't know why there's so many Red Sox fans around here.
You got a lot. I'll tell you, Jim, you got to tip your cat to him. I mean, they got a kid named Pierce. He's been to like 12 different major league teams. He's MVP of the World Series. You can't make this stuff up. Steve Pierce hits 2 home runs last night. I thought maybe the Dodgers had a chance when Freese hit the first pitch delivered by Price in the bottom of the first for a home run to cut the deficit to 2-1. But I got bored and went to bed, and I find out this morning they won 5-1.
That's the biggest problem with the World Series is it gets over too late. Nobody's even watching it. Nobody even cares.
You know, it's
a Red Sox, Dodgers, East Coast, West Coast. It's a pretty good series. Yep. They had a game go to 3:30 a.m. With the 18-inning game, which is, it's a phenomenal historic game in the World Series. But everybody's sleeping. The games just take too long. They start too late.
I agree.
And, pretty soon, no kids are going to care
tough.
about it. Everybody was sleeping.
It's tough. Well, Mary Weber,
Sure.
She stayed up till 3:30 to watch it.
Did she?
Tip you off, Mary.
Wow.
3-3-0. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. She stayed up. I stayed up till 10:30, which is late for me. I'm normally
10:30. They weren't even done with the first game yet. They didn't even get through the first 9 innings.
No, but you're right. I'm normally a 9:15, 9:30 tops for me, and I get up real early. But yeah, Mary Weber, 3:30.
Yeah, baseball is a sport that only the teams, the cities with teams that care about it's very localized. But as far as like capturing the interest of the country as a whole, it's just not working. It's not like it used to be.
I agree with you. I think they start too late. And I understand you're going to keep telling me it's the far west and it's a 3-hour differential. I get all that. So it's 8 o'clock our time. It's 5 o'clock. I've heard that argument for 100 years. I get it, but Jim's right. It should start earlier. I'm sorry. You remember, Jim? You remember when they used to have afternoon games, World Series?
Yeah, they used to be day games.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. But I don't think it's ever going to happen with the media and the price. All right, let's talk about some other sports topics, Jimmy. We got lots to talk about. Whatever you throw up there, we can just get into it. We got a lot. SU football or SU basketball. I've been picking on, I call him the cheerleader, Dino Babers. I like to give credit where credit is due. Hey, the Orangemen now are in a position now to make a nice bowl opportunity. Now they've got the magical 6 wins with an exciting win against the likes of North Carolina State. My good friend Leslie Ullman, who's a diehard Wolfpack fan, she wasn't happy. It was a high-scoring game, 51-41 or something like that. Pretty amazing. Dungy, they kept it suspenseful. Dungy or DeVito going to start. They went with Dungy. You can't badmouth. He had a great performance. And now they are primed to put together some more wins. And as you pointed out earlier before we went on the air this afternoon, they got Wake Forest they should beat. Wake Forest is not a world beater.
Nothing's guaranteed, but
I agree. They should beat Louisville.
Let's hope.
Oh, they're 7th in the ACC. They should beat Louisville. Louisville's terrible. They got rocketed the other night. They got to play Notre Dame. You think they got a shot? Notre Dame, of course.
Yeah, of course they got a shot. Maybe College Game Day will be there. Syracuse wins their next 2 games.
That could be possible. But Notre Dame, Syracuse, that'll be at Yankee Stadium. And, of course, they end up with tough Boston College, who always gives them trouble, especially there.
Well, nowadays, yeah, but we usually...
Yeah, right. So what the Orange has is a good shot of 9, maybe 10 wins. They get to 9-10, they're going to get not just a bowl game at Yankee Stadium at the end of December. They're going to get a nice trip maybe south, or far west. Some nice weather.
Yeah, they should be.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Let's see what happens, but let's at least win 2 of the next 4. Let's win 3 of the next 4, or all 4 of the next 4 would be good. But
so as I be,
all Syracuse's best players are young too.
Right.
Like Dungy's a senior, but everybody's excited about DeVito coming after him.
Yep.
The Johnson kid, the wide receiver, he's a freshman. The running back Howard, he's a freshman.
Yeah.
Some of our best defensive players are freshmen.
Right.
It's amazing, and I think that it's really coming together for Babers, and we're coming back here. And I was really upset when. Of course, I was upset when we blew it and lost to Pitt, but when we lost to Clemson, too, I'm trying to win the ACC. I don't care if I'm in the same division as Clemson. Clemson's killing everybody, but we almost beat them in Clemson.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
It's good. It's good to be back.
We were talking about how bad is Florida State this year. I can't remember a year where they've been that bad. Usually get some pretty good studs in that school.
Well, everybody recruits players and athletes nowadays, and it's more than just getting the best players. There's only one Alabama. That's really the only school in the country that's probably recession-proof in terms of having the program go backwards like it did for Florida State.
It is pretty mind-boggling. I think, Jimmy, you and me talked about this. Alabama and their ability. Of course, they win national championships like every other year or every year, just nonstop. What's amazing is that we talk about the grading. If you're a 3, you're mediocre, pretty good. If you're a 2, you gotta pick up your pace to make it in college, major college football. If you're a 1, you shouldn't be applying. But if you're a 4, you're really good. But Alabama gets 8 to 11 5s every year.
Yeah.
Every year. Do you realize, folks, how hard that is to get 8 to 11 5 stars? Now, yes, Jim's going to say maybe a couple of 5s didn't work out. I get that. But who gets 5s like that in a barrelful? It's amazing to me. And I get it why kids want to go there, why they want to go to Clemson, because they're national championship contenders. And kids want that. And you can't blame kids who've got phenomenal athletic skills.
To the NFL, too.
Exactly.
I don't think that's the best
No, you're right.
To the NFL.
You're right. But it's pretty scary what he gets for talent. Speaking of Alabama, Jim, I had that on my list to talk about today. I normally don't get overly excited about Alabama. I respect Alabama's team. They got a great team, usually year in and year out. But this coming Saturday, I think it's an 8 o'clock game, LSU at LSU. I think that could be a really great game. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't look at the line today at Las Vegas, but Alabama normally doesn't get anybody gets near them. But LSU is a home gym. I think it's Saturday night, 8 o'clock on CBS. That should be a barn burner in my feeling. I got a gut feeling about this game. I mean, nothing would be finer than college football to see LSU beat Alabama, right? That would really rock the boat.
Sure.
But
Alabama will still be in the top 4.
True. It's going to be interesting. I look forward to that. I have that. Speaking of topics, as we cover the world of sports, let's talk, Jimmy, about SU basketball. What's your early indications of the team? And you obviously know the kids better than most people do since you're a grad there and you follow them closely. Are you happy with, of course, they only played St. Rose the other night, so that's not really a true indicator of what they're going to do. But how do you look at the SU basketball team this year?
I think it's great because every year we lose our sophomore, junior, one of our top players. We lose them early, but this year, Tyus Battle bucked the trend, and he's coming back. Right. O'Shea Brissett probably could have tested the waters. He's coming back. Pasquale Chukwu, our giant center's healthy, and a year older. He should be great. We have 3 point guards. They're all hurt right now, but Frank Howard's a senior finally, and anytime Howard's the type of point guard that makes Syracuse fans go crazy. He shows his potential, but he reminds me a lot of like how Scoop, Hardeen, and a lot of other players like Frank Howard, when they finally get to be seniors, it finally kicks in and they really step it up. You got Howard Washington coming back off an ACL injury who should be good to go, and then we got Jalen Carey, another freshman. We got Barama Sidibe. A lot of people forgot about him because he was injured all last year. He's back and mostly healthy. I mean, we're pretty much stacked. And then we got Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah, Buddy.
A guy who Mike Alessio and I interviewed when Jamesville DeWitt played in the Waterloo Hall of Fame Classic a couple years ago. And now he's, Jim Boeheim's son, obviously. Sure. And he scored 19 points in that exhibition opener. And so Boeheim says he's going 9 deep. And Buddy Boeheim would be that 9th man. But, yeah, we're stacked top to bottom. I think that we're underrated at 16. They want to say we're 16? Well, let's see what happens.
I know.
I love it. I can't wait for this season.
And the team that Jimmy disdains and does not like is Duke. And they interviewed Coach K last weekend during a football game. And he's got a phenomenal recruiting class coming in. And they said 3 of his recruiting class as freshmen are going to be first-round draft picks in the NBA. First-round draft picks. And the kid is what? Williamson, right?
Zion. Yeah,
Zion Williamson. He's an animal.
I don't even care. You can get all your one-year guys with their eye on the NBA. Sure. It hasn't worked out for Calipari in Kentucky. He did get 1 title, but, I mean, you think that that's going to be an automatic birth to the Final Four or something. That's not the case. These kids are still young, and they are not there for the long haul. They're looking to get one and done, and it's hard to mold a team, and it's hard, I think, for a coach like Coach K to get kids like that to buy into his system, which is really based on 4-year players. I've said it for a long time that I think that in this era of one and dones, it's going to hurt Duke overall. So I like what we have. A lot of guys coming back, a lot of guys with experience, a few young guys, and a lot of guys with experience versus, a team of unknowns. So, they're impressive physically, but
be interesting.
We'll see what happens.
And Syracuse plays Duke this year.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's here or at Syracuse or at Duke.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if we play them once or twice, but the stupid ACC schedule.
I know. I think it's a one-timer. I think they play once.
Yeah.
I almost seem to think they were away, but
I think it is. It will be away if it's one time.
I think it is. Hey, by the way, if you haven't been following the world of sports today, thanks for joining us today on the Dog Show. Later on in the show, we're going to take our break as we did last week. I'm in an editorial commentary mode lightly. I'm going to make a fairly lengthy commentary regarding SMI and the Local Law 3, so you don't want to miss that. By the way, Jimmy, a couple of sports bulletins. If you guys and ladies out there have been working all day and haven't got home to check on the ESPN, Hugh Jackson, the coach of the Browns, goodbye. Haley, the offensive coordinator, fired. Tyronn Lue late last night, got fired by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that cracks me up. They're 0-6. Really? Wonder why. Let me think. Why are they 0-6? Oh, LeBron left them. Okay. Why do they are still 0-6? Well, the next best player in that team still around, Kevin Love. He's out with a bad foot, maybe out a month. So, Jim, you're 0-6. You don't have LeBron James, and you don't have your second best player, probably your best player statistically, that's going to not play for a month, named Kevin Love. So you're 0-6, and they fired Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, it's his fault, right?
It's his fault. Yeah. This cracks me up about the NBA. Like, really? So Jim Seneca or Harold Weber or somebody working, I don't know, as a waitress at Del Lago could just sit on a bench and get this team to win. Really? The last time I looked, you got to have some material. You lost probably one of the best players ever to play the game of basketball. I'm not going to go out on that limb and say that he's the greatest LeBron in the world, even though I think statistically when he's finished playing, he might have those numbers. But my God, you lost LeBron James, and the best player when he left is out of play for a month. No wonder you're losing game after game after game. That cracks me up. All right, we talked about SU. We talked about a lot of things going on here. Jimmy, as far as we were talking about SU basketball. As far as, I know what I had to talk. Rick Pitino, the news today that even though that investigation with the house in the campus, where they supposedly brought in recruits for a cup of tea or whatever.
Prostitutes.
Yes, yeah. Supposedly, Rick Pitino, the investigation didn't find him that much affiliated with that situation, and they think he might be eligible for a potential NBA job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been in the NBA before.
I know.
I mean, I personally like Rick Pitino overall, but I think like in that situation that he knew what was going on, but he kept himself his arm's length just in case, I think a lot of that stuff goes on, but, it just goes to the... that's a whole other argument whether you should pay players or what. But it's college football is not the same as when I fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, back
in the early '80s when the Big East was coming up, and I mean it's not the same. It's not as good. I'll always root for Syracuse, and I'll always enjoy March Madness, but it's not even close to the same.
And by the way, for you horse racing fans, the ultimate goal is to watch the Breeders' Cup. That's coming up, I believe, this weekend, Friday and Saturday at Churchill Downs. The greatest horses from around the world. I think
they race in November in Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. Scheduled to be at Churchill Downs. I think it's...
It'll probably be better weather than it was for this year's Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. It's Friday and Saturday this year, and they move it around the different tracks. But if you want to see great horse racing, no nags, please do not apply. I'm telling you, the Breeders' Cup, pre-record it, VHS it, tape it, it's phenomenal. I think they do 5 or 6 races on Friday, and then they do another 8 on Saturday, and it's the greatest horse racing spectacular in the world. I went over and made a couple of bets. I got to go to Auburn. I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll have to decide if I want to throw a couple of dollars on some of those races. That's really exciting to watch, but I mean, sitting at a couch for 12 hours is something I used to like to do, but I might have to go and place a couple of bets or maybe just sit home and watch it when I get out of work. Well, listen, we're up 3:18 right now. We've chewed around a whole bunch of sports. By the way, before we take our break, and then I'll come back with an editorial or commentary regarding SMI and Local Law 3 in my view. And by the way, before I start my commentary in a few minutes, all right, SMI is a sponsor, and when we play the role of sponsors, they are a sponsor of the Weber Show. They've been with me for quite a while. My view today and my comments today have nothing to do with SMI as a sponsor. I know you're out there saying, yeah, that's what Weber's going to say. Listen, I have been blessed with sponsors since I started radio in 1970. If SMI were to call Jim tonight and cancel the show, I would find a new sponsor. I would miss them, but I would find somebody. I've been blessed to have great sponsors, so when I make my commentary in a little bit, please don't sit home and say, that's why Weber's going that way, because they're a sponsor of my show. I've been blessed to have a lot of great sponsors for many, many years, and I never take it for granted. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our commercial break. When we come back, I will have that commentary regarding SMI and Local Law 3. Resort and Casino has something for everyone. 2,000 slot machines and 99 gaming tables. The Vine, featuring top national music and comedy acts. The dining options, the Great Portico by Fabio Viviani, the Farmers Market Buffet, the Social Cafe and Bar, and the 14,000 square foot European-style spa. Del Lago offers massages, body treatments, and facials, plus a full-service salon. Visit DelLagoResort.com for more information.
Cayuga Lake National Bank, offices in Union Springs and Aurora, a fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor on Bridge Street in Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her team will find the right spirit for you every time. When you stop in, tell Amy the dog sent you. The Omen Theater on William Street in Lyons. See what's playing this week at omentheater.com. Located off New York State Thruway Exit 41, the McGee Diner has earned their reputation as a popular family restaurant, serving country, fresh, home-cooked meals daily. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and check out their menu at mcgeediner.com. The Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes is a child-friendly location where allegations of physical or sexual abuse are responded to by a multidisciplinary team of professionals. The team works together to conduct a thorough investigation and to provide necessary support services to children and their non-offending caregivers with a goal of minimizing further trauma to a child. Seneca Meadows is an award-winning company that has earned a reputation of going above and beyond to protect the environment and support their community. As an EPA inspector once said, their operation is head and shoulders above the rest. And the Newark Pilots of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, a minor league team with a major league ballpark. Season ticket packages available at newarkpilots.com. And the Wilson Press in Seneca Falls. My good pal Rich Rickey and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Visit them online at wpress.com.
Welcome back, everybody. The dog with you. Ah, yes, the soap opera continues. Town of Seneca Falls versus SMI, Seneca Metals Incorporated. Local Law 3 allowing Seneca Metals to stay until 2025. SMI makes a sweet offer to stay to 2037. Their package is somewhere, you can argue about the millions, 95 to 100 million. Pick a number. It's a lot of money. Recently, Mr. Avery, Mr. Peretta, and Mr. DeLalis voted 3-2 to authorize their lawyer and consultant to aggressively defend Local Law 3. Mr. Lazaro and Lou Ferrara were the two on the losing side of that vote. First off, yes, SMI, you just saw it. They're a sponsor of the Weber Show. They've been with me for quite a while. I have a lot of sponsors. I have been blessed. My view today has nothing to do with SMI as a sponsor. In allowing SMI to stay till 2037, it's my belief that we as a town cannot make it without cuts, services, tax increases, infrastructure, on and on. By accepting a raise in revenue would allow us to provide what we expect day in and day out. And don't forget about all the folks that come to the town board and ask for donations for very worthy causes, and usually they get that stipend. Is it a point where we would have to say no? We're not going to give you any money because we don't have it in the budget, so don't ask. Let's give kudos to a guy named Mark Benjamin. Yeah, SMI. I know some people look at that money at SMI for a benefit, whether it be for cancer, for whatever. I know they think the money is dirty because they're opposed to SMI and it's dirty money. I differ, not because I'm friends with Mark Benjamin, is they do a lot of good things for a lot of good organizations and people throughout the year since they've been here. Let's not forget about their generosity. You know, I talked to a good close friend of mine recently, a couple days ago, and he had a couple of great comments. Listen up. Hello. The mountain ain't going away. The mountain is not going away. They, SMI, are not adding land east, west, north, or south. They are filling the center of that landfill. and that's going to take an additional 12 years to complete, thus the 2037. If they go in 2025 and odor issues crop up, who's going to deal with it? Yes, Local Law 3 will be difficult to get overruled. I admit that. I've talked to several attorneys. But what if the state sticks their nose into this and mandates, assuming they need landfills in the state of New York, mandates SMI to stay right where they are? What if? Now we bring out the lawyers, and litigation could last for years. Legal costs would be out of sight. Remember, we have Mr. Foster, a nice guy. SMI has 7 to 10 attorneys on a private jet in here overnight. Not a fair fight. I was curious, how the heck are we going to survive without this cash? I am told the controlling board members will need to plan. You think? Our little town is not exactly flowing over with new business coming in. Have you walked down both sides of Fall Street lately? Check it out. I just did that the other day. We have a lot of storefronts that have nothing going on there. I'm worried about taxes. I'm worried about the police department. I'm worried about the rec center, Vince's Park, and the damn infrastructure of our town. And you should be too. Without mentioning names, an anti-SMI guy wrote a laughable article some time ago to the Finger Lakes Times on how, in his wisdom, we could get to $3.2 million if we get rid of SMI. Guess what? The article had zero validity. Some of his key points were almost laughable, probably are laughable. Del Lago Resort and Casino was going to write a check for $500,000 per year to the town of Seneca Falls. When pigs fly. By the way, Jim Senecropi and myself have heard for years. I've had people from the Board of Supervisors on this show for the last several years, many times. The old tax sharing revenue. Oh yeah, lots of tax are coming in so we can spread it out to the hamlets, to the villages, to the towns of Seneca County. I understand the premise. I get it. Guess what? Nothing's been approved. Once in a while they'll talk about it, but nothing ever happens. And let's say it does happen. You know what each hamlet, town, and village of Seneca Falls would get? These are people from the Board of Supervisors who look at the numbers. Maybe 24 to 31,000 a year. Maybe. 24 to 31 grand? Really? I'm sorry. All right, so anyways, I have no problem who want to fight the fight and be opposed to Seneca Meadows. We live in America. I have zero problem with it. None. Speak your American method and say you don't like something. I agree. I'm not fighting that fact you should not speak up. But I want people to be factual. Don't fabricate loony skies in a pie, like how you're going to cover that $3.2 million that we get now, which would be 5-something if they let them go to 2037. Let's think this out. In closing, maybe Mr. Avery, maybe Mr. Peretta, and maybe Mr. DeLalis, maybe they are progressive thinkers. Maybe they have keys to the promised land. Maybe history will show these three as being heroes, where we can make plaques with their faces on it. Maybe, however, to get those crowns, however, we as a town need what we have today in 2026. As 2026 arrives and we no longer have SMI and their checks, and taxes are still climbing, infrastructure is ready to blow up across the town of Seneca Falls, even their supporters, in my feeling, will be screaming, "What the hell do we do now?" The hero tag would go away. Just be careful. That's Weber This Week. Take care, everybody.